Hi peeps, welcome to my top 5 favorite decks, most used decks for the month of July 2024. Let me see, I'm trying to get my little print. There we go, so you can see the face of the horse there. It is humid AF here. You can see that my entire being, it has like a little sheen to it. My hair is doing some weird crazy thing. It has been so humid and so hot that it's just forced me, even Vincent at 11 years old now, to just slow the hell down and be very thoughtful about movement throughout the day. And because I was packing and needing to work with a very finite amount of decks for the time being, this was an interesting list to compile because what I was having to gather for decks needed to work not only for me, but for clients. So this is an eclectic list. And I will say that I've taken Tarot of Vampires and the Isis Oracle off the list because they are my daily decks right now. They have been for a fair amount of the year. And those of you who are OG, those of you who have been sharing this ride with me for over a decade, know that those two decks are foundational and core to my practice. So, you know, to put them on every list means that I lose 2 spaces to bring in some other decks that might speak to you to bring into your practice at this point in time or inspire you to put in rotation. So honorable mention for the Isis Oracle and Tarot of Vampires. They are my daily draw and journaling decks at this point in time. I begin every day with a draw from both of those decks and some journaling time. So those are honorable mention on the list. Okay, so personally, for the month of July, I've been in a very hermit mode, self-reflective space. I'm very blessed to be so busy with readings. I'm so honored to be. Thank you so much to all of you in the community supporting the work. It means a great deal to me, and it's so fulfilling to do for work. And outside of that, and being a mom to my son, and you know, moving into the next chapter of our lives as far as home goes, etc. I haven't had a lot of space for much else. You know, I've really been working a lot with Isis, Lilith, and Venus. They feel very core to my practice always, but especially right now. And as I prepare next week to put the finishing touches on the Lilith workshop, which will be available for purchase, and as I've also been doing research into Lunasa, I've been doing a lot of creative work, but from a very solitary perspective, which I have to say, when you move through times of transition, sometimes it really is such a gift to have that quiet space to devote and pay attention to your craft, your practice, and also to understanding and getting to know yourself. There's been something about turning 40 where I've really felt kind of the closing of a lot of chapters in my life and ways that I thought I had to move through the world as a human being. But also ways that I thought I had to move through the world as a woman, and really shifting out of that and finding my power and knowing when it's smarter to leave well enough alone and to have grace and compassion, but also honor other sacred emotions like rage and injustice. That's been really powerful and profound. So I've been spending a lot of time alone or with the very few trusted people in my life. I'm very grateful for them. And of course, I spend time with all of you in this beautiful way. And so I feel very personally that in my practice when it comes to decks that I'm working with, in addition to TOV and the Isis Oracle, I want decks that really give me some insight and a sense of connection, and also that inspire deeper levels of self-understanding and connection to my gods. So you may find this surprising because I haven't talked about this deck in a while, but the Messenger Oracle by Raven Phelan, this is I believe a 2nd edition printing. It's not the first that I had and gifted. It's slightly larger in size, but it's also not the newest version, which I really do not like. And so a wonderful, lovely community member gave me the heads up that this edition was available on eBay. Someone was selling it, and I managed to be able to purchase it last year. And I've used it in a few client readings, but I haven't brought it out much for personal use. I had such a profound relationship with this deck in my early to mid 30s that it's hard to imagine connecting with it in the same way at this time. But what I have found over the last few weeks is that it has been very helpful to offer loving messages from the perspective of the old ones, the beings of the earth. And so it's been a nice kind of flow between this and the Old Ways Magic Oracle. But this deck has come forward a little bit more in my personal work over the last 2 weeks. And I've really been enjoying working with it again. And also, I struggle with Dreams of Gaia Tarot and Raven's newer deck, but I really like finding the layers of imagery and the little symbols within the artwork like this that make up such a large part of this deck. And of course, this owl is one of my favorite images that Raven has done. And so to be able to have that displayed, near my bed, whenever I get in and out of my bed here at night, is a really nice way to feel connected to my practice as I make new moves in new directions as far as creating home. So it's a wonderful visual anchor for me, even when I can have other emotions that feel uncomfortable rise up. So that is Raven Phelan's Messenger Oracle. And I have not I've been using it to clarify tarot for clients. For myself, I've really just been doing a pull here and there. When I want to get messages from the old ones, from the forest beings, from the woods, from the element of earth, Vincent and I, where we are right now, is very deep in the woods. And so it's really enjoyable to use that as a means of communication. It's quite loving. And it's not a soft love in that it's not necessarily only saying what I want to hear. It's more of a respectful love in that I do find the Messenger Oracle doesn't give you more than you can handle in times of transition, chaos, tower moments, etc. So next on the list is Syrian Shadows Earth and Bone Oracle. I've been using the Haunted Manor Oracle so much this year. I've been so in love with that deck that Earth and Bone did take a little bit of a backseat, but throughout the month of June, she came forward more and more in client readings. And so from working with this deck more and more in client readings, I was finding I was really enjoying, as always with this deck, the clarity and the sense of partnership that this deck brings to my personal card practice. So, feeling supported, feeling loved, but also that we're having a real dialogue and conversation. And this deck really gives me that sense. I also love the feel that Earth and Bone has of being otherworldly. In the edition that I have, which this is the indie edition, if you purchase the mass-produced edition, it's going to have borders and be a little bit different. But with the way that this deck looks for me, it's very easy to step into other realms, and also it's very indicative of how I experience guides and energies in other realms, whether I'm channeling in reading or if I'm just journeying, not just, but if I'm journeying myself as well. So this deck is really like a brother in arms. And I really, really have enjoyed reconnecting with it for personal use this month. Okay, so next on the list, I have been having some anxiety come up personally a great deal, and that's normal. We all move through times of transition and growth, right? Even those of us who are in this realm, this sphere of work. And I had accidentally forgotten to pack my full-size edition of the Kali Oracle, but I do have my pocket edition. And I've really been finding the pocket edition of the Kali Oracle to be very helpful in allowing me to soothe anxiety and to be present with myself and feel my emotions with the understanding that they will be processed and released. They're not a permanent state, right? And this deck especially is like the cheerleader version of the large size in compact format. So if I need to feel a sense of connection to Kali, or if I just need to feel her support as I'm maneuvering through decisions and choices and new uncomfortable circumstances, I can just pull a card from this deck and feel her support and love and presence, and feel that I'm also accessing the wisdom of my intuition, because this deck is very much an affirmation deck for me of affirming intuitively what I'm already picking up on. And so I've been really so very grateful for this deck this month. And it's one that I can carry with me very easily, that I can have right next to me when I'm working and or as I move throughout my day. And if I just need that little reminder of my path, of my purpose, and of the cycle of growth that I'm moving through, this deck really gives that that support in a very concise, compact manner. So this one is high up on the list this month because it's really been so helpful, and I'm very much looking forward to getting my full-size edition back as well. So the next two decks on the list are definitely the most used for me personally right now, and I have a feeling that will continue to move in this way throughout the rest of the month of July. This deck is no longer available for purchase, but it is the Sistine Tarot, which was independently crafted and created by Rose Bay Tarot. And I've really been loving this one for its beauty, and I've been connecting with it in order to hear the voice of Lilith and Dark Venus. I feel like this deck really straddles those two goddesses' domains, if you will. Lilith and Venus, especially Venus in her dark Venus phase. I've been really connecting to Dark Venus in 2024, and I just feel like with this deck, again, this sense of sisterhood, but also being able to access the mystery within the sacred feminine and a sense of empowerment on the path. This deck is very reverent. It's very, I think, steeped in tradition, of course, that we can trace back to Catholicism and some of the imagery, but it's steeped in this sense of tradition, but it's a lusty veneration of that, and it's as seen through the eyes of the goddess, at least in how I experience this one. And so this one I have been using a shit ton for myself, and it's also been used a fair amount in client readings over the last 2 weeks as well. So such a sense of just sensuality with this deck, and it reminds me of like a Bouguereau painting, you know, that's like clashing with pop icons and Catholic iconography in such a way that I feel kind of like punk rock, early 90s punk rock, and I love it. It makes me feel excited, and it allows me to embrace my story and my journey and my goddesses, and to communicate with them like a pack and a team working together. I really love this deck, and many of you know from the Glamour Magic series that my beauty routine is really a way, that's my me time every morning. I have a really lovely morning routine that I'm very thankful to be able to indulge into the full. I get up very, very early in the morning and I have my card pull and journaling time. I make a cup of tea and I sit with that energy, and then I get to do my morning beauty routine. And I love using this deck to be inspired in my makeup and my clothing choices. Even while I'm working with finite options right now, it's really fun to bring inspiration from tarot pulls into that practice. So if that's something that speaks to you on your journey as well, the Sistine Tarot is a wonderful one to celebrate that practice with. And it is by no means light and fluffy, though. I think you can absolutely embrace real depth of intuitive understanding and awareness, and divinatory, more psychic aspects of traditional tarot reading as well with that deck. So I don't mean to make it sound like it's a fluff deck. It's not at all. It's capable of going very, very deep. So my number one deck this month is the Death Doula Oracle. I have just fallen ever so much more in love with this deck over time. And it's so profoundly still and quiet, and such a witness to times of transition. And the artwork in this deck is so meditative and beautiful to me. I am so grateful that I was gifted this deck, and it is such a beautiful teacher for me. And I'm very excited when I'm settled and have my full tarot collection back with me. I'm very excited to use this with the Abyssal Tarot, because now that I've really spent a lot of time with the Death Doula Oracle, I can see how those two are going to flow very beautifully together. And a real dialogue can happen that's very much in the water element for me, and in the explorative aspect of really being present to feelings, to cycles, to times of transition, and to walking a path that's sacred, feminine, and goddess driven. And this, oh man, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's just so, it relaxes my vision, and it lets me really stop, especially when mind chatter gets really strong. This deck is a great one to stop, still the focus, bring presence and awareness to the moment, to yourself, and then really listen. And again, witness in the same way that the deck does. And also the photography is just such that I am very, very drawn to personally. I love this type of photography, and again, it's very restful, it's very meditative, but it's not numb, because it's still embracing the spectrum of emotions. So this is my number one deck. I think we'll stop there. Sensuality is a beautiful one to stop with. This is my number one deck for July. It's just been so present, so calming, and so it provides you such clarity on where you're at in your journey and what you're moving through. And I find that really, really helpful, because when we're processing a lot, you know, and having to make decisions about things, and in those moments when we may be afraid that we are losing ourselves or our ability to be ourselves, decks like the Death Doula Oracle really show us, here's where you are. It's actually very Hecatean energy to me. And I have been feeling Hecate come forward more and more the last few days especially, but it's very Hecatean in that, for me, Hecate is the goddess who is able to drop into presence very easily, and who also illuminates truths. And I think this deck does this in such a way that is very similar to Hecate for me, in that it's very calm, truthful, and very patient. The deck is willing to wait for you to move through and process and catch up. So if you want to work with the Death Doula Oracle more, I strongly encourage it, especially for times of transition, or even just in the heat right now, in the humidity where we are. Like, it's gonna, I started recording this yesterday. It's gonna get up to 91 here today. The humidity is insane. And it just, like I said at the beginning of this video, it really slows you down. And this is a deck for slow pondering and presence. And it's for me more about stepping into awareness and that presence than it is divinatory in nature. So I think it's a true oracle deck in that it's not about telling you what's going to happen a week from now or in regards to your situation. It's more about, where are you now? What can you honor about now? How can you be here for yourself now? And allowing yourself to understand and be with even the parts of yourself that are uncomfortable for you, or that you don't want to go there. You know, like, we all have those places where we don't want to go, but it's necessary at times to go there. And the Death Doula is a wonderful witness to that. But it is by no means a shadow deck. I don't feel like, I should say, I think you could very easily work with it for shadow work, but it's much more than that. It's really, for me, a deck that's a daily draw deck. It's one card, daily draw. Sit with that energy, be present with it, journal with it, and talk to my gods through it. So these are my top 5 for July, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of us are moving through some unexpected transitions. It feels like the course of things is really speeding up. And like we're moving through a profound time of evolutionary change within this realm. So I think these decks are good companions on that path, so that we don't give up and we can find the story, the anchor, the grounding, but also flow with change, with growth and development. So it's if you are feeling scared about what is happening at a larger level, you know, within the country where you live or worldwide, know that the uncertainty of this time is inspiring all of us to take action in new ways in our journeys for ourselves and for our tribe. All right, there's my big speech. You know what? Let's do a Kali Oracle card for the month of July all together before we finish. Let's do a little poll. Let's see, as a collective community, what is coming forward here for a message and a theme for the rest of this month as we move from, let's see, what's today, the 14th, forward to the end of the month. Kundalini Shakti. Significant inner shifts are taking place. Energies are beginning to move in new ways. You may feel that resolution is hard to pin down at this time. Lean into unfamiliar territory with boldness tempered by patience. You will become capable of many things on many levels that you were not capable of accomplishing previously. You shall arise. A fresh path is signified. That is beautiful. So there is our final message for all of us together. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for sharing sacred space with me in this way and sharing the journey. Let me know in the comment box below what your top 5 are for July. I would love to get inspired by your favorites as well. It encourages me to pull out decks that maybe I haven't worked with for some time. So please feel free to share. And of course, I am sending each and every one of you oceans of love, and I will see you in the next video.